It is something that we will have to add for you. So if you want to use the date changer tool, just give us a call or send us an email, and we can get that set up for you. So once it's installed, let's make this a little bit bigger. Once it's installed, you'll see due date changer.
Well, I think they have to add it to the course menu first.
Well, yeah, let's see. We will install it and then add it to the course menu.
Okay.
That's part of the LTI service. So we'll go into due date changer, and it will take it for just a moment. You'll see all of your assignments that you've created and all of your quizzes that you've created. And at this point, it shows me this was the due date for this assignment, 8/23/19 at 12:59 p.m. I can go in and change that to whatever date I want it to be. And time.
Okay.
So if I want it to on Halloween, it's going to default to the 11:59. If I want that time changed, I will have to go in and check and change
Well, there's
that.
no clock button down here.
Okay.
Oh, is there? Oh, there is a clock button. Ha!
That-
There you can change it there. They hid it
Does it
from me.
automatically, you know, look up there. Does it automatically push the other times and dates? When
For
you
the
change
other
the first
assignments,
one?
no. You would have to do that on each one. So you're changing each assignment individually, but it's all right here in one page.
Oh no, like I got something on my phone and I've got an appointment and I put it in and it says, well, it's for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But if I then change the end date on it, okay, and I set it to like 3 hours difference, right? If I go back in and change my start time, it will actually keep that 3 hour difference and
Right.
slide it. Does this do the same thing?
This is
or
not that intelligent.
Oh, okay.
This is, it is, yeah, the easy part of it is you can change everything in one page, but you will have to change each
Okay.
individual date.
So you don't have to do a million clicks. to do
Right.
it all.
So what it will do is if I had an available from date as the 23rd of September, or no, that's August. That won't let me. August 12th. If I try to change the due date outside of that available range,
Oh, okay.
it won't do it. It will default back to the original due date. It won't give me a warning, but it will just default back to the original due date.
Okay.
So that's a note I put on your cheat sheet.
So we got to look for that.
So yeah,
Good
so if I
check.
changed this to the 31st, I'd have to go in and change my available times as well.
Okay. So you got to visually check it.
You have to visually check it. I say it is easier, but it's not
Okay.
super intelligent.
But I like that thing where it's all on one page because manually you have to do 6 clicks to get at everything. It's like,
You can also publish or unpublish something here. There's a checkbox for that.
yeah.
And there is with quizzes, find a quiz, somewhere in this list. Assignment. There we go, a quiz. A quiz, you can set its due date. Apparently I'm liking Halloween. And you can set its available time from and to. You can also change when the answers show. If you leave it blank, it doesn't mess with the settings, but you can tell it, now I want my assignment answers to show from, the 1st to the 5th or something like that.
Oh.
So that would show on your students, then your students will see the answers to the quiz only during that time frame.
Nice.
Yep. Then you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, like most things, to find the submit button.
Uh-huh.
And the message it gives you is all the way back up at the top. It says it's processing. And it's not discriminating. It's going to go through and look at every single one of your assignments and quizzes, not just what you changed.
I imported a course from last year,
Yes,
and then this year I want to change the due date only 2 days after the original dates for each homework or the quizzes. Is there any fast way to do so? Oh, I still need to go to
you can use when you import into the new course, you can use those Canvas, change the dates, tools. You might need to tweak those though. It'll get it close, but it might not get it exact.
So we don't need to use this API, but
No,
don't have to,
no,
no.
no, it's not required by anything. You can use when you do a course copy, you can say, I want Canvas to try to figure out where all my due dates are, and it'll do the best it can. Like you'll still need to go in there and double check to make sure everything got set up correctly.
Can you show the example of change the due date over there? Like not using this API, but
Sure.
It's on the
I'll get back to that. So when it's processed, it will just give you this long list of everything that it looked at. It's not going to tell you what it did, but it will update these screens here and tell you that this is the new due date. This would also be a good place to check those dates if you have this tool installed. Right here is the option to adjust dates and events and due dates. And it's going to ask you the beginning date of your course and the ending date of your course. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Sunday, or it will let you move it on different days of the week.
Yeah.
that's great.
So you can try it that way and then check it with the due date changer.
It works best when you're doing it the same semester, so,
Yep.
you know, if you've got
Yeah.
the spring,
Spring to fall, and fall to spring. Don't.
but if you go from fall to spring because of the holidays in different places,
Yeah.
it kind of gets a bit messed up. So,
But there is another handy way of moving stuff around if you don't mind. You can always look at your calendar.
That's true.
If I get to it here, come on. There it is. So here's all our cafe stuff that we got going on. This is for one of our calendars for cafe events. So say our digital literacy for Canvas, say we move it to Friday, we can just click and drag, pop it over there. Time is still the same, we just move the date. So that's another quick and easy way to move stuff around.
That's neat.
and you,
I just moved his
you went
line.
back in again, you went clicked on.
I just click and drag. Yeah, just click
It's
and
in
drag.
your calendar.
It's in your calendar.
How do you
Now-
put things on calendar then? Automatically or not?
When you create an assignment that has a due date, it's automatically added to the calendar. So assignments, quizzes, anything that has a due date tied to it is going to show up on the calendar.
Yep.
Oh.
If it doesn't have a due date, it won't show up on the calendar.
If you want to create an assignment from the calendar, you just have to double click it. Double click on the day you want to add to add an item. And then you can say, oh, I'm going to add an assignment. So
And that calendar does it for all your courses.
Yep.
So obviously, as I'm not seeing anything, I haven't got anything set up to do it.
Well, okay, or you may not have selected the calendar.
So yeah, over on the side over here, it gives you an option of the calendars that you can choose. And right now, Malcolm's got new faculty programs and 10 steps set up on his calendar. So yeah, if you have a bunch of assignments with no due dates, you can use the due date changer to add those due dates, and then they'd show up on your calendar.
Yep.
Oh. So with that assignment changer, it will automatically put them up on calendar for
Yep.
me.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, assignments in the calendar and gradebook and Canvas are really tied very closely together. So changing an assignment tends to have a ripple effect on various areas as well. So it'll show up in the calendar, show up in the grade center, all kinds of things. And then you can also add
The
independent
drag and drop
events.
on the calendar is really nice.
And there's other things you can do with the calendar as well. You can add events that you may have. Maybe you have a symposium coming up that you want students to attend. You can put that on the calendar for your class. There's this feature called appointment groups. So if you want to schedule meetings with your students, this is one way you can do it. I know one professor who uses it to schedule time in one of the labs because the lab can only hold so many people, and there's too many students for all the students to be in the lab at the same time. So he uses this kind of tool to schedule when the students can show up in the labs.
So we kind of have two best practice paths if you're going to put your course right from one course shell into another. First thing you would do is combine if you need to, then copy, then due date changer. If you're putting it into a sandbox as an intermediary, copy, due date changer, then combine and copy